Okay. Well, I'm so happy to see all of you. Just your names, if not your faces. I'm just happy that you're there. You're here. You're there and you're here. So, welcome. My name is Susan. I'm a library clerk, as many of you know, at Cuesta Library. And I want to start by saying I'm honored to be co-hosting this program with Denise and Sharon, our wonderful and creative reference librarians, as we all fall into poetry and celebrate together the themes of harvest and the new season and new beginnings. And as I told Tom, we hope that this nourishes us all, inspires us all. And for those of you who write poetry, hope you get some new ideas from this. So I hope you're all in gallery view. I would imagine that you all are. And that you've opened your chat and that you will go to chat now and choose for your chat to be viewed by everyone as you answer this question. So the question is, when you think of the fall season, what's the first image or words that pop into your head? So I'm gonna tell mine now as I type it, which is fresh apples. What's yours?
Like we've got lots of leaves there.
A lot of raking.
Oh. Hi, Allison. Hi, Alicia. Webby woodpile.
Hello.
Changing color.
I'm cheating on my drop-in hours. I'm in 2 Zooms at once. That's why I'm being quiet.
No worries.
Okay.
No worries.
A little scandalous poetry, right?
Right. Oh, and there's Marcia. Hi, Marcia. We just started.
Man, what a mess.
And we just started by being in gallery view and opening chat and writing when we hear the words fall season, what are the first words or an image that comes into your head?
I know, so bad.
And I give it about 10 more seconds.
Yeah, no kidding. But I think that the story's funny, so if you talk to him, you can ask him about it. It's a really funny thing. Yeah, but I guess I better go. These guys are talking. Sorry.
Okay.
I'll check in again later. Bye.
Okay, so I'm going to just read these in the order that I jotted down notes. And if I leave something out, please let me know. But as you listen to these, I hope that maybe you will jot some of these down as well and later make a poem out of them. If we had more time today, that's something we could do right now, but we want to have a reading to inspire us. So the words that I jotted down from you were apples, falling leaves, dead leaves, pumpkins, pumpkin ice cream, hot chocolate, maple leaf, frost, webby woodpile, leaves changing color, cool snap in air, and harvest. Did I leave any ones out?
Hey, don't forget sweaters. It's my favorite season, sweater season.
Sweater season. Well, I'll jot that down too.
I think you left out renewal, which was the first one from Bruce.
Oh, okay. Renewal and sweater season, or sweaters. So Those have a lot of visual images. And later, like I said, if you want to jot something down, we could all try making a poem out of these words or some of these words and just see what comes up. So some people have called poetry a healing art. And just briefly, as a few words to get us into the poetry space, an article called Poetry Lights Up the Brain mentioned that poetry and music, the brain processes both similarly, and that even MRIs show that both stimulate the right hemisphere, which is linked to reward and emotion. And Psychology Today had an article titled How Poetry Can Heal, in which it said that poetry can help us feel we're part of a larger picture and not just living in our isolated little worlds. That's certainly relevant for today, I think. It can be a form of meditation, and poetry most often resonates with our feelings, with images, and with ideas. And so today, when you listen to the poems that we've chosen to read, I hope that you can smell them, taste them, hear them, touch them, and see them in your mind. So we have some readers that have signed up, and if you are so moved or have brought a poem and didn't think you were going to read it, please sign up and chat. We would love to hear what you've chosen. We're going to go around once and then back around again until we run out of our poems or we run out of time. Please say your name before you read, a little something about yourself, the name of your poem, its author, why you chose it, why you like it, briefly. We only have an hour. So I'm going to start, and then the order of readers you can see in chat is Kristen, Ina, Dawn, Denise, and who else? Again, my name is Susan, and I grew up in Texas. For reasons still unknown to me, I started writing poems when I was 9 years old. I have no idea why. Poetry was not really read in my home, and I didn't even go to a poetry reading until I graduated from college and moved to California, where I lived in the Bay Area, and I worked in a bookstore where there were regular poetry readings by wonderful Bay Area poets. And so I chose to read, for my first poem, September Tomatoes by Karina Borowitz. I was not familiar with this poet, but it resonated with me, and it's full of images, and I love poetry that has a lot of visual images, and really all writing that has visual images. So I hope that you will see this poem as well as hear it. September Tomatoes by Karina Borowitz. The whiskey stink of rot has settled in the garden, and a burst of fruit flies rise when I touch the dying tomato plants. Still, the claws of tiny yellow blossoms flail in the air as I pull the vines up by the roots and toss them in the compost. It feels cruel. Something in me isn't ready to let go of summer so easily, to destroy what I've carefully cultivated all these months. Those pale flowers might still have time to fruit. My great-grandmother sang with the girls of her village as they pulled the flax. Songs so old and so tied to the season that the very sound seemed to turn the weather. So our next poet is Kristen. Is Kristen, yeah, there you
I'm
are.
here.
Kristen,
Hi.
hi.
I made it.
I think I gave you the wrong link. That's my bad.
That's okay. Thank you for checking your email. Hi, I'm Kristen. I'm a current Cuesta student going through the Library Tech program and also finishing up my English AA degree. I am going to be reading Perhaps the World Ends Here by Joy Harjo. Harjo is a Native American poet currently serving her second term as United States Poet Laureate. In a recent Library of Congress article that I was reading, I really liked this quote from Harjo. And she said, "Poetry reminds us that we are connected beyond words, and to communicate through poetry has the potential to expand the conversation into wordless depths. To help us move collectively into fresh cultural vision, to get there in understanding, we begin with the roots. In this country, the roots are found in the poetry of the more than 500 living indigenous nations." And I chose this particular poem because to me it speaks of the general feeling of harvest and the amount of time we live at the kitchen table, as well as the unique and specific moment we are in as we move into the harvest of 2020. So here is Perhaps the World Ends Here by Joy Harjo. The world begins at a kitchen table. No matter what, we must eat to live. The gifts of earth are brought and prepared, set on the table. So it has been since creation, and it will go on. We chase chickens or dogs away from it. Babies teethe at the corners. They scrape their knees under it. It is here that children are given instructions on what it means to be human. We make men at it. We make women. At this table, we gossip, recall enemies, and the ghosts of lovers. Our dreams drink coffee with us as they put their arms around our children. They laugh with us at our poor, falling down selves, and as we put ourselves back together once again at the table. The table has been a house in the rain, an umbrella in the sun. Wars have begun and ended at this table. It is a place to hide in the shadow of terror, a place to celebrate the terrible victory. We have given birth on this table and have prepared our parents for burial here. At this table, we sing with joy, with sorrow. We pray of suffering and remorse. We give thanks. Perhaps the world will end at the kitchen table while we are laughing and crying, eating of the last sweet bite.
Thank
Wow.
you. She's one of my favorite poets. So Tina,
Can I
you're
just ask a question? Kristen, what tribe is she from? You remember?
From the, I believe it's the Muskogee.
Okay, great.
Tina.
Okay. I picked a poem called Autumn Rain by D.H. Lawrence. That's the same D.H. Lawrence that wrote Lady Chatterley's Lover and Women in Love and Sons and Lovers and all this stuff. But this is not like that. I really like this poem because of the imagery, because, let's see, where is it? There's where it talks about dead men that are slain, now winnowed soft on the floor of heaven, and I really liked that. I thought that was very gentle, really, I liked it. Anyway, I'll read it, okay. The plain leaves fall black and wet on the lawn. The cloud sheaves in heaven's field set droop and are drawn in falling seeds of rain. The seed of heaven on my face falling. I hear again, like echoes even, that softly pace. Heaven's muffled floor, the winds that tread out all the grain of tears, the store harvested in the sheaves of pain, caught up aloft, the sheaves of dead men that are slain, now winnowed soft on the floor of heaven. Manna invisible, of all the pain here to us given, finally divisible, falling as rain. And I forgot to mention, he wrote it during World War I. He wrote it in 1917, so he was talking about all the men that died during the war.
Thank you, Tina. Don.
Hi, friends. Thanks for having me on the show today. I'm a library tech at the SLO branch at Cuesta. Interestingly enough, the first poem that I wrote was as a little boy when my parents got in an argument, and I wrote them a poem to try to help them to mend their discontent. And they were both so struck by it that they burst into tears, and they've been married 50 years. So I guess it must have worked. So today I selected somebody who's from ancient history, A.E. Housman, who's a British scholar, considered to be one of the greatest scholars, actually, and also a poet, and a professor of Latin. I'll go ahead and read this. It's called Tell Me Not Here, It Needs Not Saying. Tell me, not here, it needs not saying. What tune the enchantress plays in aftermaths of soft September or under blanching Mays. For she and I were long acquainted, and I knew all her ways. On russet floors, by waters idle, the pine lets fall its cone, the cuckoo shouts all day at nothing. In leafy dells, alone. And traveler's joy beguiles in autumn hearts that have lost their own. On acres of the seeded grasses, the changing burnish heaves, or marshaled under moons of harvest, stand still all night, the sheaves, or beaches, strip and storms for winter, and stain the wind with leaves. Possess, as I possessed a season, the countries I resign, where over elmy plains the highway would mount the hills and shine, and full of shade the pillared forest would murmur and be mine. There you go.
Ah, thank you. Were you reciting that or reading it?
I practiced, but I'm reading it.
Oh, it seemed like you were reciting it. And okay, on to Denise.
Alrighty, this is a poet I was not familiar with. I found this looking online. I sort of have exhausted my print collection, which is very limited, of poetry at home. It's called How to Read a Poem, Beginner's Manual. And the poet is Pamela Spiro Wagner. She's an American artist and poet. This was written in 2009. Her website says she has experienced much adversity in her life, including physical and mental health. She's a twin. She lives in Vermont, and her cat is called Beanie Baby. And I chose this because it's got some echoes of harvest images in it. And then also I just thought it's appropriate, you know, to our reading today. How to Read a Poem, Beginner's Manual. First, forget everything you have learned. That poetry is difficult, that it cannot be appreciated by the likes of you with your high school equivalency diploma and steel-tip boots, or your white-collar misunderstandings. Do not assume meanings hidden from you. The best poems mean what they say and say it. To read poetry requires only courage enough to leap from the edge and to trust. Treat a poem like dirt. Humus rich, I shouldn't say hummus, I guess humus, sorry. Humus rich and heavy from the garden. Later on, it will become the fat tomatoes and golden squash piled high upon your kitchen table. Poetry demands surrender. Language, saying what is true, doing holy things to the ordinary. Read just one poem a day. Someday a book of poems may open in your hands like a daffodil, offering its cup to the sun. When you can name 5 poets without including Bob Dylan, when you exceed your quota and you don't even notice, close this manual. Congratulations, you can now read poetry. And I'll put the name of that in the chat here.
I love it. That's great.
It's a fun one.
Thank you. Did anyone else want to read a poem that wasn't on the list?
Jennifer does.
I do.
Oh, okay. Jennifer.
I have 2 pretty short ones. The first one is called When Great Trees Fall. It's by Maya Angelou. I'm pretty sure we probably all know who she is. She wrote I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. I chose it because it is on theme with fall and trees, and also because it talks about death, and I'm reading it in honor of RBG. When Great Trees Fall by Maya Angelou. When great trees fall, rocks on distant hills shudder. Sorry. Lions hunker down in tall grasses, and even elephants lumber after safety. When great trees fall, in forests, small things recoil into silence, their senses eroded beyond fear. When great souls die, the air around us becomes light, rare, sterile. We breathe briefly, our eyes briefly see with a hurtful clarity. Our memory suddenly sharpened examines, gnaws on kind words unsaid, promised walks never taken. Great souls die, and our reality, bound to them, takes leave of us. Our souls, dependent on their nurture, now shrink, wizened. Our minds, formed and informed by their radiance, fall away. We are not so much maddened as reduced to an unutterable ignorance of dark, cold caves. And when great souls die, after a period, peace blooms, slowly and always, irregularly. Spaces fill with a kind of soothing, electric vibration. Our senses restored, never to be the same, whisper to us, they existed, they existed. We can be and be better, for they existed.
Thank you for that.
Wow.
Then the next one I found is called In the Steps of RBG. Real change, enduring change happens one step at a time. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, as quoted in the notorious RBG. And this is by Rosemary Watola Trummer. So let me take one step right now, one step toward respect, and give me strength to take another towards clarity. And though my feet might feel like stones, let me take another step towards justice, and another towards equity, and another towards truth. And though my legs may feel leaden and slow, though someone else may step on my toes, may I inch toward forgiveness. May every step be toward a bridge, enough divisiveness. And as so I go, may I find joy in the stepping, grace in the edging towards the great change. But if there's little joy, let me step anyway, then take another step and another and another.
I would really love a copy of that if you can make sure that the author gets into our notes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Can
I
you
can do
spell the author's name, Jennifer? I didn't know how to spell the last name.
Trommer, Trommer.
Okay.
And her first name is Rosemary Rose, Merry.
Merry?
Mm-hmm. Rosemary.
Okay.
Exactly.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. And thanks for the tribute to Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And I know this sounds strange, but thank you for your tears. And I think that's one of the values of poetry, is poetry reaches right down into our grief.
It always has for me.
So thank you for those. That was really meaningful to me. So we also have Claire and Heidi. Claire, would you like to go next?
Yeah. So I've been writing poetry since I was a kid. Thought it was really great. I look back now and read it. It's like, oh my goodness, what tripe. But, you know, kids are immature and your brains think a certain way. And as you mature, hopefully your poetry does too. This has been percolating, and I am heartbroken over Ruth's death. And I'm so pissed at the things that are happening. Anyway, so this is Untitled. Viewing the red, just ripe apple, does the scarlet leaf, waiting for her final release, feel a frustrated fury at the premature termination of her productivity, supposedly ordained? Or a cynical satisfaction that after her supposed final purpose is met, she at least will be a pretty form of fertilizer?
Claire, that was your own work?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Untitled. Okay. Wow.
Okay, Heidi, and then Marcia.
Thank you. I just wanted to write Claire some love in the chat before I went. Can you guys hear me okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
I too have been writing like Dawn and Claire, long hiatus in the middle, but this is something I wrote, I think, in the last 6 months. COVID has provided a lot of time for reflection. So it's called the Timberline. To the top, I navigate this world without trees, little air and light oxygen. I live among the pines where they test their limits daily. Not sure if survival is dependent upon your arrival, like the rain or the wind. Climb to find my place again. Beyond the river's flow, I reside among the timberline, where life recedes and growth is sparse, amid those that have trained for elevation, where resources are rationed, where the winds are ever changing and the rain is on its way. The view from up here is peaceful, stark, and lonely. Even the birds find it hard to land. Yet at the base, there lie seedlings, searching for the air that remains and sustains us, grasping for sunlight, stolen Father among the timberline. That's one.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you, Heidi, to
Really fun.
Timberline. Thank you. So, Marcia, maybe next time you'll read one of your wonderful poems. Anyone else? Okay, well, I think we have time to go around once more.
I put in there I was going to read. I don't know where it went.
Oh, Tom. Okay, sorry. Like I wrote in the chat, sometimes it's hard for me to read and listen fully all at the same time. So thank you. Tom.
Oh, I think I sent my thing privately to somebody. That's what happened.
Okay.
Okay. I've got a couple of poems here. They're both, I hope they're not too much of they're both about solitude and connection. Well, one's about mostly solitude and the other one's about connection. First I'll read the one that I wrote, and I've been trying to write and it's been kind of hard. I don't know why. I think that all the pressures of being the online, and all that stuff has really kind of taken up a lot of my mind lately. So this is called First Day of Fall. I noticed from a square on the large calendar limp on the concrete floor, the first day of autumn has arrived. The wind blows cool and breezy through the silent oaks, rustling clusters of dark green leaves. I watch the twisting, curving trunk and branches of the giant trees and notice how they stand so stoically in community. And I envy their something ranks. Man, I can't read my writing. Down the hillside as I sit alone. I envy their arboreal ranks down the hillside as I sit alone. That's what it was. So that's mine. And I just started kind of thinking about, trees and how they grow in groups, and they're sort of like a community. And so anyway, the other one I was going to read is an old favorite of mine by Walt Whitman, one of my favorite all-time poets, and considered sort of the father of modern American poetry, even though he's writing in the 1800s, second half of the 19th century. This is called A Noiseless Patient Spider. A noiseless patient spider I marked where on a little promontory it stood isolated, marked how to explore the vacant, vast surrounding. It launched forth filament, filament, filament out of itself, ever unreeling them, ever tirelessly speeding them. And you, O my soul, where you stand, surrounded, detached in measureless oceans of space, ceaselessly musing, venturing, throwing, seeking the spheres to connect them, till the bridge you will need be formed, till the ductile anchor holds, till the gossamer thread you fling catch somewhere, O my soul.
Thank you. Thanks. Anyone else who hasn't read? Okay, well, I think we have time to go around once more for a second poem if we don't make any comments and we just read our poems. And then we're going to close. I'm going to turn the program over to Denise for a few announcements, including our next poetry reading and our next book group, which is actually going to be based on a memoir written in poetic form. So for right now, let's go around with a second poem for those of us who haven't read a second poem and just share. Mine is by one of my favorite poets, Mary Oliver, titled Song for Autumn. Don't you imagine the leaves dream now? How comfortable it will be to touch the earth instead of the nothingness of the air and the endless freshets of wind? And don't you think the trees, especially those with mossy hollows, are beginning to look for the birds that will come, 6, a dozen, to sleep inside their bodies? And don't you hear the goldenrod whispering goodbye, the everlasting being crowned with the first tuffets of snow? The pond stiffens, and the white field over which the fox runs so quickly brings out its long blue shadows. The wind wags its many tails, and in the evening the piled firewood shifts a little, longing to be on its way. So we'll go in the same order that we did before. Kristen.
And I'm not sure everyone has a second poem ready.
I don't have a second one.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Well, thank you,
no
Kristen,
worries.
for the first.
no pressure.
Tina. Oops. Tina, I think you're muted.
Okay, sorry about that. I forgot
Okay.
it was muted. Okay. My second poem is from the Hebrew Scriptures, the Tanakh, from a book that's called Kohelet. In the Christian Bible, it is the book of Ecclesiastes. And traditionally, it was written by King Solomon, but actually, nobody really knows who wrote it. And as Denise pointed out, it was also a song back in, I think it was the late 60s by the Byrds. And I thought of it when I was thinking of autumn and change, because it's a poem about change. So here goes. Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verses 1 to 8. And I'm reading it in King James because it just sounded prettier. To everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under the heaven. A time to be born and a time to die. A time to plant and a time to pluck up that which is planted. A time to kill and a time to heal. A time to break down and a time to build up. A time to weep and a time to laugh. A time to mourn and a time to dance. A time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones together. A time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. A time to get and a time to lose. A time to keep and a time to cast away. A time to rend and a time to sow. A time to keep silence and a time to speak. A time to love and a time to hate. A time of war and a time of peace.
Thank you.
I've got the song going in my head right now.
I know.
Dawn, did you have a second poem?
I did, and you took it. It was the tomato poem.
Really?
Yeah,
You're
exactly.
kidding.
Yeah, so I'll pass.
Okay. All right. Denise.
Okay. I've got a couple. Okay, this isn't really a poem. Let me just put it in the chat. And it's something that you might have heard, or you probably have a t-shirt with it on it. If you go to Yosemite, I'm sure you can buy something like this. It's from one of John Muir's writing. John Muir, the environmentalist, author, activist. It's from his writing, Our National Parks, written in 1901. And I chose it because it's familiar to me. It has elements of fall and nature as a healing source. So that was attractive. I think you'll probably recognize it. Walk away quietly in any direction and taste the freedom of the mountaineer. Camp out among the grasses and gentians of glacial meadows. In craggy garden nooks full of nature's darlings. Climb the mountains and get their good tidings. Nature's peace will flow into you as sunshine flows into trees. The winds will blow their freshness into you and the storms their energy. This is my favorite line. While cares will drop off like autumn leaves. As age comes on, one source of enjoyment after another is closed, but nature's sources never fail. Okay.
Thank you. Claire?
I think there may be more people that want to read.
Well, Claire, Heidi?
No, I only had the one.
Thank you, Claire. Heidi?
Yeah, I have another one. Okay, trying to decide where the best place to read it. I don't have a title, but I wrote it. Okay. You don't belong to me, and I don't belong to you. You belong to the wind. You blow in and out at your own pace, on your own time. You swirl around, never landing long. I belong to the earth, deeply rooted, wherever my feet take me, finding home and solace, grounded in truth from the core. At times, stubbornly connected, tethered to my convictions, a long line anchor connects us, with water as our commonplace. The mountains. Timber are our love song to one another. Yet the dry desert and abundant valley keep us sequestered. Either everything or nothing grows. The seasons of life offer us hope in a world empty of variation. I see you in the rolling in of fog, socked in, hankered in your ideals. I smell you in the rhythm of the leaves. I hear your howl in the depth of the night. I taste you in a song that plays everywhere I turn. I feel you on my face when I am most connected to my earth. You are everywhere, mostly silent, never to be obtained, contained only in my memory and when I close my eyes. Thanks.
Thank you. So we still have a little time before I pass this over to Denise. Does anybody else have a poem that they must read?
I just came across kind of a fun one by, it's a fall poem and it's by Galway Kinnell.
Okay.
It's called Blackberry Eating. I love to go out in late September among the fat, overripe, icy black blackberries. To eat blackberries for breakfast, the stalks very prickly, a penalty they earn for knowing the black art of blackberry making. And as I stand among them, lifting the stalks to my mouth, the ripest berries fall almost unbidden to my tongue. As words sometimes do, certain peculiar words like strengths or squinched. Many-lettered, one-syllabled lumps, which I squeeze, squinch open, and splurge well in the silent, startled, icy black language of blackberry eating in late September.
I can taste them. Tina, did you have one?
Yes, I have a little haiku. Let's see. It's by, I'm not familiar with the author. It's by Paul Holmes. Like crunchy cornflakes, gold leaves rustle underfoot Beauty in Decay.
Oh, thank you.
Like frosted cornflakes.
Yeah.
Anyone else? A must read? Well, I just want to thank you all for being here. I hope that it felt almost as good as sitting together in the library, listening to these. And I hope this time together renewed your spirits. I feel like it renewed mine at a time where my spirits need renewing. So that's the beauty of poetry. And just thanks for everybody being here together to experience it. So I'm going to turn this over to Denise, who has some wonderful announcements, and just thank you all for letting me host this. Denise.
Thanks, Susan. You do a great job. And I apologize. I think I gave the wrong Zoom room out to about 3 people. I see them emailing me drastically right now. But anyway, we do the best we can. I'm going to do a quick screen share. So this is going to move. Okay, so our next event that the Cuesta Library is putting on is our book club in October, and you can see the kind of the accompanying library guide that we put together for this. And it is it's called Brown Girl Dreaming, and it's by Jacqueline Woodson. She's won tons and tons of awards for her writing. She's quite prolific and great. This is interesting. It's a biographical memoir that she's done, but she's written it using verse. So if you're able to come and drop into this, and I didn't put the Zoom room is not here, but just email me. I can send you hopefully the right one. And again, I'll put the URL for this in the chat. There's a lot of ancillary enrichment material here that you can read that would be helpful. And then I want to do a couple other screen shares, so hang on.
Oh.
And I think we have a couple folks that just joined us. Jennifer, good. I'm so sorry I sent you the wrong URL. There's the wrong Zoom room, but we'll kind of finish up here. Okay, another screen share. And this is our next poetry reading that we have coming up. And this one we're encouraging people to bring their kids or have their kids even read something, come in costume. This is Full Moon Dreams, and it will be October 28th. So it's right near Halloween. And again, let me know and I'll try to send you the right Zoom room information. I promise not to mess up again. Themes are Halloween, full moon, Dia de los Muertos, ghost tales. Dawn and I will be co-hosting this one. And if those of you that are knowledgeable or like to read in Spanish, that's okay too. So keep this in mind. And then there's one more screen share, so bear with me. Yeah. Okay, one more set of events I wanted to mention. And Allie's here, and she's involved in the Hispanic Heritage Month celebrations that are coming up. And this is just some of them. These are spoken words, and I'm not sure exactly what each of the presenters will be doing, but these are going to be in honor of Hispanic Heritage Month. 2 of them will be in Spanish and 1 will be in English. And I believe for all of them, we're encouraging students or people in the audience to share a poem towards the end. And these are available for the community as well as the Cuesta related folks. So we will, probably what I'll do is just send all of you that came today another email message with all of these links in it. So you don't have to worry about jotting them down. Okay. Anybody that came in late, last chance to read anything? Okay, so Susan, I'm going to give it back to you.
Okay, I just put into the chat a resource, poetryfoundation.org, for more wonderful poems. And I'm going to give Denise the list of words from the first chat connection that we made, words or images about fall. So in case you want to use them to write a poem, you'll have them. And again, I just thank you all for coming. It was really meaningful and very rewarding for me, and I hope it was for you all. And I look forward to seeing you again at the next poetry reading that we have. So, anybody else have anything to say before we leave our Zoom room?
I just have one thing about the October one. I've got a short story that I'm going to read that I wrote, a ghost story, of course. If you want to do that, probably what you want to do is keep it 10 pages or less, probably around 3,000, 4,000 words maximum. That way it will go rather quickly, just so you know.
10 pages or less?
Or less.
That's
That
a lot.
sounds like a lot.
It's actually not. It'll read pretty quick.
Okay. And you know, if you are going to read it, it does help us out in planning if you can give us a heads up even the day before. That way we don't have to sit here and beg you to read. So your option, but.
And Denise, you're going to send the recording out for those people, especially that joined us late?
Yes, I will do that. It takes them about maybe a day or a day and a half to typically send me the recording, but I will send it to our whole group. Anybody that joined late or left, or I gave the wrong Zoom address to, yeah, we'll get that out to you. Sorry about that. Thanks, Sharon.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Okay, everybody, air hugs. Keep reading and writing poetry. It's healing, remember.
Thanks, friends.
Nice seeing everybody.
Bye, Tom.
Good to see you, Tom.
Take care, Tom. We miss you.
Yeah, I miss you guys too.
Join us for the March. Join us for the graphic novel March Book 1.
No, I forgot to tell you. Yeah, Tom will be up for that.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I read that. When is that?
That's in November 19th, I think it is.
I can send you that too.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is a very.
Thank you, Heidi, for reading your poems.
Yeah, they were really good. I like Timberline.
Yeah.
Thank you guys. Thank you. It's just so fun to see you all and listen to you all.
Yeah.
I miss you all so much.
Yeah.
Me too.
I just miss walking around campus and running into people and stuff, you know.
Yeah.
It's those random moments of like a smile and a like well wish.
Yeah.
Hi. Yeah.
I can't believe we're doing this through spring, and it's.
Yeah, I know. So thank you for this, and let's keep it going so that we can. Thank you for all of it. I appreciate you guys so much.
Well, we're just trying to do a little spark. You know, I think that's just, keep going. Karina's glad we do this, and the president said she liked it. Whatever. So we'll keep doing it.
Yeah, and it's work. Yeah, you said you're providing the spark. It's working. It's great.
Good.
Thank you so much.
But no fires, Tom. Okay.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
Tom. Terrible.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. It's afterwards it kind of, I felt a little free. There was a lot of stuff in there. I mean, I'm sad that I lost a lot of things, but there was just stuff that I would never have gone through. Do you know what I lost that was really, I just thought of it. I actually had a real minstrel songbook from the late 1800s. I always wanted to donate it to the Cuesta Library. And I had it. It was really falling apart. It was from my uncle's music archive from when we cleaned out his house in Hollywood, and it was really a historical artifact. That thing was. Yeah. So I had all kinds of things in there.
Did you lose did you have a copy of It was the comic book that came out with Martin Luther King with that originally was why March happened. and everything.
No, I didn't have that. No.
Yeah.
So you have your books in your office though, right? Those are there.
I
You
do have some
bring them
books in
all
my
home.
office at work. Yeah. So,
Okay.
yeah. Well, all right, you guys.
Okay.
All right, see
Take
you
care,
soon
everybody.
again.
Stay safe.
Nice
Stay
to see you
You
Okay.
all.
guys.
sane.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks,
End
guys.
this now. Okay, bye. So I thought that was really nice.